Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Dynamic Duo. I am your host, Trask. Now, as you can see, I'm here alone. Dynamic Duo, again, is you and I. We got lots of stuff to talk about today. We got Professor X and Patrick Stewart possibly being back in the MCU. We got JJ, coming off Rise of Skywalker, making some moves. We got some U.S. Agent, Falcon and Winter Soldier set photos. We got lots of stuff we're going to talk about today. Lots of good things. Before we get into that, I just want to say, well, two things. One, as always, I usually try and plan this out to be myself with a guest, whether that be Liam or Kyle. And it's sometimes Kyle lives in Australia right now. So if you know what's going on there, and shout out to anyone that's out there, I hope you're all right and safe and family safe and everything like that. He's been evacuated twice, so he's on the move. And then Liam and I's schedule is just completely like flipped. And that's the second part is if you listen to Dynamic Duo, I said this, I announced this in 2019. That's going to appear more regularly. For sure, at Oscar times, we're going to have a guest. Me and Liam are definitely going to do it. But the plan is eventually to resync that. But right now, my life is just kind of in a huge whirlwind because I've started a new job. Hours are crazy. I work with and at a hospital. So it's kind of all over the place. So that's why, as well as if you're listening to this, I appreciate it. But I also want you to go listen to Geek First because the thing is, I won't be on there as much as of right now. Things are kind of hectic, and I'm kind of hoping it switches around and whatnot. And luckily, those guys over there have been they can move stuff around. That can be on certain casts, like Birds of Prey, which I'm a big fan of. Obviously, I know lots about those characters, so there's certain things they can, but I don't want them to switch around all the time for me, and that's why there's going to be probably some more casts when it's just maybe a 2 people or 3 people. I'm going to try everything I can to get on there because I'm a big fan of, one, talking with those guys. We always have lots of fun, especially newscasts. Those are some of my favorite things to do because I do like doing solo reviews, or solo casts. I do really do because it gets to talk directly to you. I don't feel like I have to interrupt anybody or anything like that. So I love, doing both. I prefer the group cast because I love that camaraderie and we have a good times and we're all friends. So that's why for me, I just want, if you ever are wondering why I'm not there or where I am, that's where I am. That's why I'm doing a solo cast, so I can still contribute to the channel. I can still keep in touch with you guys, still talk about certain topics I'd like to talk about. And yeah, support them and do that. I'll still be around. You'll usually get in the description of who's in the show, but same thing, Dynamic Deal, you see Travis. And if you're going, hey, I wonder what Travis thought about this thing, I'm going to talk about this. We talked about this a bit today, like in our chat. It's like, what should we talk about? What should we, try not to cross over pollinate too much, but still, like, for me, I was like, oh, those guys, I still want to hear what they think about Morbius. So, and that's what I'd say is, if it's whether this show with Twitter or Facebook, or the other show, Geek First, Twitter or Facebook, if I'm not on it, that's either Dylan or Taylor or Kirklin. Kirklin, usually not running. Kirklin's like the most freestyle, shows up and just kicks ass and leaves. But if you have any things like you want to talk about, any topics or anything, suggestions, or God forbid, a 1-star review, send the 1-star reviews just to trash down. Leave the Geek First people alone. But anything like that, hit them up. And my hope is in the next month, it might clear up and I can be fully back into it. But I just said this in 2019 that my schedule may kind of go a different way, and I might not be able to because I don't want to hold up them too much. I don't want to, if things align in the future, even if their schedules change, then great. But my goal is to be on as much as possible. If not, I'm gonna be fine. Dynamic Duo, it's kind of, my plan is like every 2 weeks, but it's also if there's other big news as well. And that's what, because especially this year we try to focus on news we want to talk about. So there's some stuff that I will talk about today that they might touch upon, whether it's more in depth or whether it might be just quickly. That's the same thing for me. So that's kind of the rundown. If you're a longtime fan, if you're wondering what's going on with Dynamic Duo and what's going on with Geek First, I'm still there, still trying to be a part of it, but the schedules are a pain. So those guys are gonna. Those 3 are going to kick ass. Hopefully, maybe Jessica might appear here and there, and Tyler Briggs, same thing. They're busy too. And that's the problem when we, don't do this as a job. And that's why, go to Patreon. There's your cheap plug to go support us, because if we could ever make this one time, we got so many plans and so many things we want to do, and things like this where scheduling here, scheduling there, that wouldn't be an issue, and that's what we would use it all towards. And that's why I want to plug. Now we get all that stuff out of the way, and we'll get into some news. Patreon right now, Suicide Squad commentary track is live in honor of Birds of Prey. We watched and commentated the extended track, by the way, extended movie, not the extended track, we're the regular track, the extended movie of Suicide Squad, and it was the first time Harley Quinn made her debut, so that's the tie-in there, and it is at the $5 tier, and it's exclusive. It's not early. It's not going to come out in a few months. It's exclusive there, so, and it's going to be up there the whole time, and if you get the $5 tier, you get everything. There's a Hobbit retro on there. There's episodes when we record them early, they'll be up there, and you get everything ad-free. You can also still get the dollar level, but the ad-free is a big thing because, no lie, in the next few months we have some sponsors, which we thank you very much for your support, because we couldn't be able to do that without you. But that is to keep the lights on, to keep these mics going, to get better. We always talk about getting a better camera, even getting better microphones. So that's what it's all for. It's we don't see a single cent out of this podcast. It's all put towards this. So that's why, too, we trying this year really spruce up Patreon, give you what you want, give you something that you enjoy. So please head over there if you want to do that. It's a good time, especially commentary tracks. I think it's the best representation of us hanging out. Like, that's what people have always said, that, like, this podcast just feels like I'm hanging out with my friends. The commentary track is literally that, where we're just sitting back, kicking back. Of course, we get a few little film commentaries, some film notes, some film discussions, but really we're just having a good time. So check that out. Check out our Last Jedi or our Star Wars ones, or anyone like that, or an Endgame one, to see if you like it. If you like those, then help out with the Patreon. So, as usual, all the links are down below. Video, audio, please subscribe. Big thing for us, too, is on Spreaker. If you use Spreaker, whether you use the website or the app, please use that. That is our new hosting site, and that does a lot to do kind of hitting our next milestone and success, so we'd really appreciate that. But everything's down below, so please, if you like us, just subscribe, because we got lots of good stuff dropping the next little while. And go watch the video on YouTube, and then the audio podcast as well, giving you all the details of what's coming 2020, whether it's spin-off casts, Gauntlet, Geek for Shows, Patreon, the whole bang. So, should we get into this? I don't know where to start, and I think I'm going to, because they're both juicy, the two things of, like, Professor X versus JJ. I'll start with Professor X, because I think, yeah, we'll start there. So, this comment comes out, so, excuse me, Xavier, I was going to call him Xavier. Patrick Stewart, of course, he's on the press tour right now for Picard. That's coming out. I'm not even a Star Trek fan, and that show gets me excited. I look at it, I'm just like, man, I don't need another show to watch. So I'm not going to watch it. Maybe it might be a thing I binge, but it just looks so good, and I'm a sucker for actors returning to roles that they used to do, so that's great. He's on the press tour. And I don't know. I didn't read the interview, but I've read the full quote. But I'm sure they asked him about X-Men, about Marvel, about Kevin Feige, about the MCU. Who knows? Could you return? La la la. It all it takes is honestly, would you return as Xavier? So he says that him and Kevin Feige have had long conversations about Xavier and the MCU. After that, he proceeds to tell the story about him leaving and Hugh Jackman leaving, and there's a classic story that kind of ties in this, as far as they watched it together and they just felt this was the last time we could do this. This is the end of our characters. Even though when Legion was around, he was still saying, like, I would possibly do that. And I feel like Patrick Stewart has a few times kind of been a never say never type of guy. So this meeting it's very interesting, because I would have thought that they would completely reboot everything. And if you're asking me, gun ahead, when Xavier, Wolverine, Cyclops, all that, when they come in, will you have rebooted the universe? Will you have a new cast? And I would go, yeah, I think so. I would bet on it too. The thing that changed everything for me, and I think it was a big game changer, and we've talked about this, Hugh Jackman, and other people we've talked about with John Barenthal and Charlie Cox. Oh, excuse me. Is would they ever come back? Is a universe-breaking thing? La, la, la. Spider-Man Far From Home. If you haven't seen it, tune out for this topic pretty much. But if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast. Spider-Man Far From Home, the end credits come. Something I called, #Travis told you. Not in the end credits, I just saw you be in the movie. J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, is in the movie. So before that, if you would ask me 100%, like any of those people coming back, whether it's none of those Fantastic Four people, but anyone in those X-Universe, other than Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, it's a tongue-in-cheek character. That is just a too-hot commodity. I think everyone knows if you were to make a Deadpool without Ryan Reynolds, you're losing millions right away. He's young enough. He still wants to do it. He's only done 2 movies and a few appearances here and there. So That was a no-brainer. What they're going to do with that franchise, who knows, and we'll talk about that another day. So that one kind of made sense. And again, Deadpool can kind of break the fourth wall, write it off, whatever. But and Hugh Jackman's one we talked about, and I after JK was kind of like, you never say never. And now it's interesting that this is coming out because it's not even them asking, oh, what would you think about it, right? And then he goes on and talks about, oh, maybe this, but I'm kind of down the role. He leads with, oh, I've had long conversations with Kevin Feige. So when did that happen? Kevin Feige, huge Star Trek fan. Did they just have him over? Was that at a dinner? Maybe. And that's the thing that all this is context, and we don't know for sure. It could have just been, he said long conversation. He did say he met with Feige. So, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if sometimes people are just talking casually in an interview, and to us, it's like a world changing. Like, oh my God, they met. Maybe it's just they were at dinner and he just met with him, like, oh, this is Kevin Feige, Patrick, and then they start talking, and that's about it. So we don't know how in depth it got. But to take it back to Spider-Man Far From Home, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Before we talk about the what ifs, I will go with I don't really want it. Because not that I don't want it. That I shouldn't say that, but I think we could move past it. I think it's time to freshen that role up. And I also think from a business standpoint, unless you're going to write that character off, I hate to say it, he is an older guy, and one that is, something could happen in the next few years or next decade. Feige's a person that likes to plan. They go after younger talent. And two, is that the story they want to tell? Is that an older, late 70s, 80s Xavier? Do they want to do that? Xavier's been younger before, so that's another thing. And the third thing is, and that's where the J.K. Simmons part does come in, but let's be honest, J. Jonah Jameson, big character, interacting with Tobey Maguire and other characters from that universe, but he's not massive, right? And it's in such a single role where Jonah, if he's in Spider-Man 3, he's not going to affect much, right? He's going to be there for comedic relief. It looks like they're doing a twist on him, so we won't get that old dynamic. So you can make the case that he's playing Jonah, but a whole different version. Obviously, they could do that with Xavier, but Xavier and Patrick Stewart's Xavier is such a vital character in those first three. They made a spin-off prequel movie about him, and then they brought him back for Days of Future Past and Logan. And he interacted with a lot of those people. So would it be weird seeing him talk to a Scott, a Jean, a Beast, a Logan, when it's not that cast? I do think it is a little bit. I don't think it's a way where I don't think the audience could follow along, but I do think it's a little jarring if you got the entire new cast, even Wolverine, and it's the old Xavier. And even the reverse, if you had Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and then you had Xavier, it's like, well, we've kind of been here and done that. And I think the Jackman thing is off the table. People have talked about that before, and I've always said, you never know. And I've always wanted Jackman to come back, less so now because I always wanted to see what his interactions with a Captain America, but with Chris Evans and an Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. I'd want to see those dream over crossovers, right? It's the same way when Spider-Man was announced. I was like, I can't wait to see Andrew Garfield there. And then they recast him, and it was still fun, but there was a little bit of that. You get excited in a different way, right? So I think same thing with Logan and Wolverine, that's going to go a different route. So those characters gone, I'm less excited. Plus things like Hulk versus Wolverine, I'm a little less excited because the dynamic on Hulk. So I feel like that ship has sailed for Hugh Jackman, and I feel the ship has sailed for Xavier, Patrick Stewart. And if I think it's likely, no. Why were they having long conversations? You never know, and that's where this is the thing that, and who knows in Spider-Man 3, who knows in the future, we've talked this many times too about the potential of a Tobey and Tom Holland crossover. We just saw this, obviously, Spider-Verse a few years ago, but then we just saw this a few weeks ago at the time of this recording with the CW Crisis on Infinite Earth and with Flash, Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, Grant Gustin. And internet lost their mind. Everyone loved it. I think the cameo was really good. It didn't have much substance, but it was really good. I think Feige would make something like a Tobey and Tom have some substance and meaning to the story, but it's been kicked around, right? And they're opening, and this is where the only idea that I could see where Patrick Stewart Xavier could somehow fit in the MCU and not feel like he's betraying that role or kind of coming over and just redoing the exact same thing is parallel universes. Who knows? Maybe Doctor Strange 2 is whatever it talks about. It's like a reverse House of M, and she brings in all these mutants. I kind of hope not, because I feel like that's a lazy way to do it, but it could happen. But and maybe Xavier Patrick Stewart is the one that gets that. But that's the only thing I could think is it's a cameo, or it's going into a different dimension, or even a what if. They could easily get Hugh Jackman back for a role of, let's say, they even break the fourth wall themselves, and what if Disney already owned Fox, or Disney owned the X-Men, or sorry, Marvel Studios owned the X-Men. What would the first Avengers movie look like with those characters? You get Downey back voicing Wolverine, you get Patrick Stewart voicing Xavier. I think there's realms where we could see Patrick Stewart's Xavier again, but not in the main movies. I think because of his age. I think two, puts you in a box with the casting, and three, that it's baggage. It really is. It's a lineage that do you really want to take on? Because like I said, with JK, I think in playing Jonah, you can kind of ignore it. With Patrick Stewart, that brings on everything. I guess that's kind of tied into two, but I think they want to start fresh. So it was interesting to hear talk about that. I will be interested to see if they talk about anything more in the future, but it's same thing. Patrick Stewart said he was done, but if, let's say it wasn't a dinner party. Let's say it was a literally Kevin Feige called Patrick Stewart agent, says, I want to meet him. He wouldn't have go in. If you're done with the role, why did you go and meet with him? Has Hugh Jackman gone that call too? Has he met with him? So I'm not going to say never. I'm not going to say it could never happen, because the JK thing happened. The Ezra thing happened a few weeks ago. So maybe there's in a year, maybe tomorrow when this comes out, or whenever you're listening to it, they announce Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, come back to the MCU. But if I had my money, I'd say no. And if there was a yes, I still think it would be in a different fashion. Cameo, multiverse, animated show, something like that. Not even, what if they are making some like Disney Channel, Disney Plus X-Men animated show? Like, hey, do you want to voice Xavier? And fans would love that, right? What if they did? It wouldn't be like this, but the same way the comics a few years ago did a sequel series to the X-Men 90s anime show. What if they did an X-Men show about those X-Men, like the adventures in the Bryan Singer universe, which is not a great way. They're not going to title it, but for obvious reasons. So I think that's where he could play him. But do I think he's back as Stewart, or he's back as Xavier? No. I think that time's passed. So let's talk about this other thing, and we got some other stuff to talk about. But here's some of the big things. I think after this will be mostly MCU stuff. But so J.J. Abrams, talking about J.J. Abrams, the guy they're talking about the MCU. I always want him to direct like a MCU movie. I thought him and Feige would have been a great team. So what a month he's having, hey? So me and Taylor are going to do a cantina one time in the next few months and talk about the past and present of the Disney era of Star Wars. So we haven't been talking about as far as news. We have a few newscasts here and there, but it's crossed 1 billion, so it's a big thing. And many people share the sentiment as me, and if you don't, that's fine. But no matter what you think about the film, love it, in the middle, you hate it, crossing 1 billion is still a big deal. It feels less so because of two reasons. One, so many films do that nowadays. And two, the other Star Wars sequels have done that already and done a lot better. Even Rogue One, I think it might end up being more profitable than Rise of Skywalker, just in a box office standpoint, right? Because you never know what toys and merchandise, yeah. And I would assume, to me, toys and merchandise of Rise of Skywalker would sell better than Rogue One. So that's saying this, like, people would say, like, misfire or disappointment is still going to make them hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. So I think people need to really relax as far as when they talk about the disappointment of Rise of Skywalker. Of course, maybe it would be disappointing to what they had and what they look at the past, but really they're fine. So that happened. JJ left. Also, there's tons of stuff. There's, supposed JJ cut and all these new concept arts coming out, all this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going around with JJ, but we do know that he had signed with Warner. I think it was like, what, $500 million he got, him and Bad Robot. So today, I think, I think it was at the Deadline and Hollywood Reporter, so forgive me, because maybe I could find out. Maybe I got it here. It was Deadline, I think, that initially pointed at. My phone, my job where I am, phone is non-existent, so when I get out of it, it's like, boom, just like text, emails, everything, news notifications, stuff like that. So I see JJ and Bad Robot are developing DC and TV projects, and then for Deadline, it said specifically around Justice League Dark, and then there's been other kind of like we always talk about on Geek First, like C tier, B tier scoopers that were saying, well, I'll get into the specifics, but they had said don't let this blah 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 blah. What was that? It's more than just Justice League Dark that they'll let them do at DC. So and the projects that was been listed by other kind of reporters or leakers have been Swamp Thing, Zatanna, and Constantine. We'll get into those three specifically, if I can learn how to speak, of course. So this is not exactly where I thought JJ and Bad Robot were going to go first, but maybe it's a good stepping stone to build towards the future. The obvious one is Superman, right? I think for two reasons. One, JJ wrote Superman back in the day, a script flyby, a controversial script, but at the end of the day, you know, there's many people that love Man of Steel, and that's a controversial movie. And plus, he's a way different filmmaker and writer now. So maybe he would do the exact same movie where Lex Luthor's from Krypton as well. But maybe he wouldn't. So when people go, that, I just don't get it because people change, especially someone like him. Look at what he's been through. I would still want to crack because I think the number two reason is just, I think visually and just the vibe that JJ brings, whether it's been Star Wars, Star Trek, or Mission Impossible 3, which is a fantastic movie. No one talks about it. Mission Impossible 3 is easily the best Mission Impossible. He, to me, just has the right stuff for a Superman movie. So I think, and many people feel that way, and I think if you look at something, The Force Awakens, that vibe put in a Superman movie would be fantastic. I'm not a Man of Steel fan, so I'm not looking for more of that Zack Snyder universe vibe. So I do want that. Justice League Dark is a very interesting choice because, one, it's kind of been movie-wise development hell. Those characters we talked about, Swamp Thing got a TV show canceled, Constantine TV show canceled, and now he's in the Arrowverse. It's interesting in that realm. Is the films for a while, it was, wasn't Guillermo del Toro directing it, and then there was rumors at one point it was the guy that did Don't Breathe, Eddie Alvarez, who I love, and then there was rumors about Andy Muschietti from It possibly doing it, but then he went to Flash. So it's kind of been in a development hell for a while, just whether it's this movie or all of them together. And two, I just didn't. Superman makes sense. Some other people, Patty Jenkins is doing it, but Wonder Woman makes sense. Flash to me makes sense. Something like Batman, I don't see JJ doing that. Something like Justice League Dark, it's kind of the same way. If you look at his work, there's, of course, dark elements, especially something like Super 8. It's kind of like a monster movie. Force Awakens, you have someone like a Kylo Ren, Rise of Skywalker, and Palpatine. So there's like some scary bad guy stuff in there. But really, he is much more of a light-hearted filmmaker. And I know that sounds probably like really undercutting. I'm not. He's one of my favorite directors. Rise of Skywalker really disappointed me, but I do need to see what he does after the bounce back because there's been so many rumors about Disney this and him that and Lucasfilm that, everything. So I'm not going to hold him completely to that. There's a chance I will because I need to see more. And there's definitely things in there that he's talked about that if he's not lying and he's defending them and that's true, then I would be really disappointed. And he made mistakes that I thought were kind of a pretty big mistakes from J.J. Abrams, who I don't think usually makes many mistakes. He may play it safe, but that's sometimes what you get when someone plays it safe. They don't make mistakes. He, to me, made a lot of them. So it's interesting just genre in general because that is a more horror, dark, supernatural superhero product. It's not the one I would have paired him with. It's not the one, maybe Bad Robot for sure, but even then to do maybe one project, but to kind of focus on them, and especially what we're talking about now. So the first three that they've been kind of rumored to talk about, Swamp Thing, Constantine, and Zatanna. Zatanna, you get my seal of approval. I've been in love with that character ever since the Batman animated series. I really, really like her. And then after that in comics, and then more recently, Young Justice. Love her in that show. She's probably, and as far as DC characters, I don't know if she's top 10, but she's close. I'm a big Zatanna fan. I think there's tons of potential there. Great. Sign me up. I hope that is a movie, not a TV show. I would just like that magic to have that budget, go and get a really great actress. Of course, there's no names that are great actors, but I want someone with a vehicle, like a star vehicle, to be put on that. Swamp Thing to me makes sense because we kind of heard rumors about that TV show, one, being expensive, but two, also there was future for an Elseworlds as far as or other places in the DCU or DC kind of world, as far as, because they didn't say, as far as what I saw, this wouldn't be, they're not clarifying if it's like a Joker situation where they're one-offs or if it is a part of the DCU. And if they're doing all these and they're doing Constantine, maybe they're trying to do their own mini Avengers or another universe where whether these are TV shows or movies, they are going to try and meet up for a Justice League Dark. So it sounds like that's kind of all unknown. I want to see if I can actually pull up this article here, but maybe I'll do that in a second. But Constantine, that one I think you could sleep on, and I think, and maybe that's, and these are all rumors, right? But that's, I think, one you could wait for. I don't think that's one that you need to do right away. I think because one, you had the failed TV show, you had that Swamp Thing, but with Swamp Thing, there was other things going on, right? Some behind the scenes with the DC Universe stuff. Constantine, you've had a movie that was kind of all right, and then you had the TV show get canceled. I don't see the purpose unless you are trying to do the whole team up thing. I was trying to pull up the article here, and then that was the other thing as well too. It says other people were saying that there's potential for continuing on other stuff, and I think that's the biggest thing, that maybe this is just okay. One, obviously, if they're doing kind of multiple characters in Justice League Dark, they enjoy those characters and those themes. So great, cool. But I also think this could be a test. Back to my first point, when James Gunn was doing interviews saying that he could pick any project, he picked Suicide Squad. So maybe the same thing. J.J. Abrams signed a huge deal. You can pick anything you want. And that is a good sign to me that these characters interest them. It's not, hey, you got to put on. But maybe it is just I don't want to start with a Superman. I don't want to stop at the top. I want to start with someone a little well-known somewhere I can play with a little bit. And that's something, too, with Superman. Maybe people go, oh, he's going to make a kind of like a Dawn or rip-off, something like that. With Justice League Dark, if he directs one of these movies, as of right now, it just sounds like he's producing them, but he could direct one, and I don't think there's a template for any of those type of movies, right? So let's see. According to Deadline, things are very much in the beginning phases. There are currently no solid plans. Bad Robot's motion picture and divisions are separately working on developing adaptations of Warner Brothers. They'll meet soon to decide which characters will get their own projects, which could mean we could get a solo projects from Justice League Dark family in addition to or instead of an ensemble team up. Sources close, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it looks like, while no specific characters have been named, it's likely safe to assume signature members, blah, 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 and they list a bunch. That's from IGN. So it looks like it's kind of up in the air. Is he a good fit? If he directs one of these, I have to see. I think Satana would be more in his wheelhouse. And I can't say 100% because Rise of Skywalker I thought was going to be a lot better. And I already did preference that there's been lots of Disney stuff, but let's just take that out. Let's just say it was Chris Terrio and his story, and he made a lot of choices. He won Rey. I'm not going to get into that spoilers, but he made certain choices, right? To me, when I thought he was going to do episode 9, I really thought he was going to swing for the fences. I think he did in some aspects, but very little. I thought after Force Awakens, he wouldn't want to say, you just made a cover song again, and he took that route. So that's why I got a little blood in my mouth from J.J. Abrams that way, because I defend him for ever since it's been announced. Everyone's a safe choice. Why would you go with J.J. again? I was like, no, he's going to knock it out of the park. He has something to prove. Apparently he didn't. Maybe he did, but I'm just saying if there's no controversy, which maybe there is, but if it's just their film, let me down. So it's not something that I jump to right away as far as I'm really interested. I still love J.J. Abrams because most directors have a bad film, and I think this was his first actual bad film. Star Trek Into Darkness people throw out, but I don't care about Star Trek, so I liked it enough. So it's going to be interesting. Do I think he's the right choice? I'll say for now, of course, he has a great background. He's very successful, but I can honestly say same thing when I was talking about the MCU and Patrick Stewart, Professor X, Bad Robot, and the TV shows. Yes, him directing a movie, I'm gonna say no, just because I haven't seen anything from that like him. Super 8's the closest, I would say, right? That's kind of a sci-fi horror. Do I want to see him do it? Yes. That's different from do I think he's the perfect fit or do I think he's the right fit? That's also me being like someone when I heard the Fede Alvarez rumors, those were perfect. He's someone I want to do Batman. There's a certain type of taste that I think a director needs to do to tackle some of these, and maybe JJ has that. Maybe he has that muscle. He just has never stretched it. He's never flexed it in front of us. So I hope that happens. I feel like Super 80 did do that a little, and I feel like that is one of his weaker films. So I hope it does happen. I want to see it happen. I want JJ in the DC universe. Like I said, Rise of Skywalker disappointed me, but I'm a fan of a lot of his work. I think he's a great director. I like the way he thinks for the most part. I like his visual style. I like his team. So I like the characters he can build. Bild. So right fit, I don't know about that, but it intrigues me. And also, I just like that Justice League Dark is moving. I'm not a huge Justice League Dark fan, but I know there's lots of people that are, and I like that we're doing some different stuff. I still want my Jokers and my Batmans, but I also want other DC movies to flourish and become popular and people to know them. So it's very interesting. I cannot wait to see what comes of this more. And like I said, I do think this could be a testing ground because maybe he is going to do Superman, but this is let's just start here and work our way up, and that'd be perfect. So yeah, let me know what you think. Is he the right fit? Are you happy about this? Are you kind of bummed out because maybe you're not a fan of his work? Are you thrilled? Let me know in the comments below or tweet at me, anything like that. All the stuff is, down below in the description where you can find me. Back to back to the MCU. Let's talk about US Agent. Let's talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Geekverse is going to do a big topic on this this week. I think they're going to talk about the Thunderbolts. I'll just mention that quickly, that there's rumors that the Thunderbolts are going to be set up in this, and that was my theory for Black Widow, that there was going to be some Thunderbolt action. I'll bring that back. But so Falcon and Winter Soldier, set photos came out of John Walker, a.k.a. U.S. Agent, wearing a suit, and he has Cap's shield. Suit is very kind of U.S. Agent, Captain America, MCU mix, so that's great. You got Russell in there, really good actor. So everyone's been talking. I've been talking this with a bunch of our fans on our Facebook. Go over there and subscribe about what's the deal with the shield. Is this a carbon copy of the shield, like Captain America, Steve Rogers' shield? Is this a ripoff that's not as good as metal, or is this Sam had the shield and it's been taken away? I've seen this debated a few times, and I think, this is what I think, and I guess the reason I think this is because I think it's the best story, and I do think the best story is the government, Captain America's gone. They go to his two people, Bucky, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Sam Wilson. Where is he? They talk about, hey, he gave me the shield, he wants me to become Captain America. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, it would not be as easy as that and poorly written as that, but all this goes down, and they say, we don't think you can be Captain America. We need to control this, and you're going to give the shield. And I think that is, we've heard that is the story they're going with, as far as he is earning it. He has to feel that he really deserves this shield. And we've kind of, I think, since Comic-Con came out and what the show's about, that it's going to be a U.S. Agent, very much like the comics, goes rogue, becomes a bad guy, gets too powerful, right? I think that's what's going to happen here. Falcon and Winter Soldier are on the sidelines. U.S. Agent is the government's, look, this is our replacement for Captain America. We know he's missing, but don't worry, kids. We have Captain America, a Captain America light, and he'll still be able to save the day, and he'll be with the Avengers, and something will be wrong, whether it is a planned, like him becoming a villain, or whether it's he gets messed up. Zemo's around, so let's say this guy, because there's been times where U.S. Agent comes around and is a good guy, so maybe this guy has some medical stuff going on, he's getting experiments done on him, and it's a Blonsky sort of situation from Incredible Hulk, but maybe Baron Zemo sets it into motion. So, and I think that's the story to tell, that they take it away from him, because one, he's a human, and maybe you could make the case he's undeserving. Two, the government didn't pick him. And three, to be honest, and I've said this since the beginning, I think, and even Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie said, a black Captain America, I'm paraphrasing, but a black Captain America is very different than a white Captain America, and what he would have to go through and what he'd have to do. And I think that's 100% right, and that's what I want to see. If you don't want to see that, then I'm sorry. Just don't watch the show. Don't complain about it. For me, whether that's my show or Falcon and Winter Soldier, for me, I absolutely loved what they did with Black Panther. I don't think they get enough credit. Yeah, of course, the ending becomes a huge battle that's very superhero-esque. But those trailers really did not show any of Killmonger and his true motives and his true desires and his wants and his motives behind his motives, how he got to his motives. And when Race came, especially the first 10 minutes, it was huge. I think it was handled really well. And I think it's important because not only just for, woke and SJW, got to talk about diversity. Not only that, it just is, times are changing, but they still haven't changed enough, and that should reflect in the world. And that gives it like a verisimilitude, as far as the MCU has always been trying to replicate the real world we're in, right? As far as there's some shades to it, but they drop movies, they drop references, and of course then they scatter off as far as, there's an Infinity Gauntlet, and there's the Hulk, all this stuff, right? But they try and make you feel like you are in this world. Like I said, verisimilitude, where it is sets the rules of the world and you feel like it's there. And that would that would work as far as one, our real world, because race and things like that are still a big problem, and especially because people, I was talking with one of our fans, oh, Sam wouldn't let them take the shield. And I went, well, maybe he didn't let them, and maybe they took it from him. It's not like that's something that hasn't happened in America or in the past many times, especially with race, right? And that's where, one, you can get the story of, yeah, he's just a normal guy and they don't feel he could be Captain America, but it doubles as far as, is it, and maybe it could just be subtly implied, I don't know, but it doubles as far as, is it, because you're human, you're not good enough to be Captain America, or is it because you're a black man and these people feel, no, we need our Captain America poster boy to be white? I think there's tons of issues and tons of things that, for me, if that doesn't interest you too, are cool, but for me, that is something that is great storytelling and something that's better than just a comic book, hey, it's evil Captain America versus his friends. That's great, and I do want that, and that can be for the action, but you look at, to me, like a Black Panther, you look at something like a Joker, these movies that are getting more acclaim, getting bigger, movies that are broadening the horizon, comic movies, are touching upon real-life things. And for people, if they don't like that, guess what? There's decades and decades worth of TV shows and comic books and already movies made that don't touch any of that, or are not political. I think most movies are always a little political, but there's ones that are just the sock 'em up, beat 'em up, sort of superhero movie. I want something that's always more. I'm fine with the former, but we've seen that before. Let's get something else. And if it can kind of take ties from Black Panther and use that to its advantage, sign me up. And this is always, the more I see about it, I had said this when they announced it early on. At first, I was like, I don't know, but the more and more they talk about it, and then after Endgame, I get so excited for the show. I can't remember, me and Dylan and Kirklin did a ranking of all the Phase 4 stuff, and I think it was pretty high, but it might have climbed from them because they're doing a really good job, and this U.S. agent stuff, the suit looks good, it looks movie quality, and seeing that shield's like, okay, we're really getting some stuff here. I know there's still debate if Sam's actually going to be Captain America. I hope he is because, if he just stays the Falcon, fine, but I just feel like they've made it pretty clear that he's going to be Captain America. I know people have problems with the replacements and whatnot. For me, it's kind of like a Robin to Robin, Batman to Batman. It's fine as far as you make your own identity, so I hope that happens. But, yeah, very interesting that John Walker photo. So what about now? And with the Thunderbolts, like I said, they're going to talk about the GV. I think you got Zemo in there for sure. I think, gonna be kept around. Daniel Bruce, a good actor. Maybe U.S. agent. Maybe he does go psycho, and maybe they put him there as far as like a kind of redemption rehab sort of way. But he can't be with the really good guys like the Avengers. And I think Taskmaster is, because Thunderbolt is in there. Thunderbolt Ross is in Black Widow. So I do think one of the end credit scenes or that movie could set it up. It's in a time frame where it's not too far from Infinity War and Endgame. Obviously, the world went to shit, so maybe the program stopped. But I think Taskmaster, if they do a good enough job, they make him relatable. I think his power of mimicking would be a very fun addition to like a heist bad guy, Marvel Suicide Squad in a way, team up. And I've always said that Ghost, I think from Ant-Man 2 is definitely a candidate. So very interesting to see what they're going to do with that. And I just like that the Thunderbolts could be coming. So what else do we have? Oh, boy. Oh, excuse me. Now we're going to talk about Dolittle. So Dolittle. So this is going to tie into comic book news, but and this is going to be a quick one. The only reason I'm going to bring this up is because there's some stuff on the cast that they might not talk about, or some movie stuff or TV stuff that maybe is not exactly comic related, but, that's my show. And even though we said Dynamic Duo when it came back, it was going to be kind of a forming of the old Rant, Rave, Repeat, where we talk about movies, TV shows, but also life, comic books, so it's kind of everything, right? So Dolittle bombs. A big surprise. I've said this before, and I can't say anything because you know where I am. I'm in my spare room with a cheap old bottle of water, talking to all you. And I love talking to all you, but I would still love to have the wallet and the fame that Robert Downey does. Is that more important than my life? No, because I love my friends. I love my kids. I love my lady. But of course, that stuff would all be nice. So I have no reason to talk down to Robert Downey, and I have no reason to have the high ground, as Anakin Skywalker or Obi-Wan once said to Anakin Skywalker. Why do you do Dolittle? I don't know. I don't get it. And I'm going to tie this into Iron Man, and because obviously that's been lots of quotes going around about him saying we'll see and all this stuff. With Dolittle, I just didn't get it. Sometimes when you see actors in those movies, you go, okay, they got kids, and you do a bunch of, like Michelle Williams. She does a bunch of very serious, very dramatic, very rated R, something like Blue Valentine, where maybe you don't want to watch that with your kids. Maybe it's a little awkward. Venom, you can go watch Venom, have a good time. This is for the kids. This is for my daughter. This is for my niece, my nephew, cousins, everything like that. My auntie, my mom is in that, and I can watch that. And it's just maybe they want to do something different. With Dolittle, and I listened to Joe Rogan, so I kind of heard some reasoning behind it. And you never know with Hollywood, because it's kind of Hollywood talk. I thought, oh, okay, I guess those are reasons to sign on to this. So I don't think it's the kids, because he has kids, but he has all those Marvel movies. I get they are a bit more mature, so maybe that's the thinking. So, okay, fair, but still, I still think MCU at times is child safe. He doesn't need the money. I'm sure he got paid great. So it's just maybe just to do something different, right? And I'm glad for him, but it's supposed to lose $100 million, maybe over $100 million for Universal. This is after coming after Cats. Very bad decision with these CGI movies and these animal movies. Whoever's approving these, not doing a good job at their job, so I don't know how long they'll have it. So all these interviews have come up, and then I also think that this bombing, everyone already is waving that flag, being he's gonna be back. Here he comes. Here he's gonna be Iron Man. So I say no and yes. I say no to the fact of you're not gonna hear next year. Oh, Robert Downey's back. You see a couple bombs and it's over. It's gonna happen. It happens to every actor nowadays because guess what? Nobody's a movie star. The Rock kind of is, but even then, that's going away. To me, the biggest thing is a movie star, actor, actress being paired with a movie brand or IP. That's what we want. We want now, or a director or another superstar, right? Like you look at Fast and Furious with a bunch of talent. They built that up, but still, you bring in The Rock, you bring Jason Statham. That's what people want. I don't think it's one movie nowadays. It's team ups with IP, other stars, or brand. It's something if you heard so-and-so, if you heard Keanu Reeves and Ghostbusters, or Ghostbusters, Ghost Rider. There's many people that have thrown that out, right? And that's just like a perfect, you know what, maybe Keanu Reeves' biker movie wouldn't be a hit. Maybe a Ghost Rider movie wouldn't be a hit. But pairing Keanu with a Marvel character, that's kind of wacky. Okay, that could be a hit. And I think that happens a lot. So Downey, Dolittle, people don't care about. People don't care about Dolittle. There's my sister, who I have 16 going on 17. Not going to know, no, I'm dating her. Like, I'm dating what her age is as far as I'm in different years here. She's 19 now. She has no idea what Dr. Dolittle is. Many people don't know. My daughter's probably going to know what Dr. Dolittle is until I tell her, and then we do Eddie Murphy Marathon. So when does he come back? No, I don't think it's immediate, and I don't think it has that sort of effect. But yes, as far as in the long term, if enough of these build up, it could. At the end of the day, if Robert Downey, I think, is a smart guy now. He has enough money. He knows he can do commercials. I think he's set for many lifetimes, as long as he's not blowing his money. And that's the thing, when you do get a high lifestyle like that, it can happen. And not even happen, just like you want to keep that up, right? And even then, maybe you just want to be in the spotlight, and there's no bigger spotlight right now than the MCU, as that was the biggest movie of all time. It's a great ending, and maybe he sticks to that. But even when he's talking about Joe Rogan, he's talking about Eddie Murphy in the way of, like, it's interesting to see Eddie, like, come back after all those years. Like, what do you want to do? Would I be the same? But he also talked about it in a way where there was, like, a glimmer of, like, what would that be like if I wait for so long and I come back for just a little run? And I've said that, I think, either during the Endgame review or the cast we did right after the Phase 4 predictions, that I do think Chris Evans as Cap will come back, and I do think Robert Downey Jr. will come back as Iron Man. Is it in flashbacks? Not like the Black Widow deleted scenes, like filming new scenes. Is it flashbacks? Maybe. Is it parallel universes? Maybe. Is it them? I still think there's tons of money in doing Skrulls and having Chris Evans come play a bad guy, Captain America. Get what he did in Knives Out, make him a dick. Perfect, right? Downey could do the same thing. There's time travel. The second they did the younger thing with Paul Rudd, boom, that's the way to get Chris Evans, old guy, back to young guy. They could do a similar thing with Robert Downey Jr. When would he come back? That's tough. I would say if you give me like a gun to my head, pick a year, I go 7. I go 7 years, but in the broader terms, I say over 5. I think in under 5 years, it's always going to be big. Even if he came back next year, it would be big. But I think you got to make him wait, because the longer they wait, the bigger one that pop is of excitement. But 2, the bigger the paycheck probably is going to be. But and that's why I never thought they were going to kill him off, and they did, so that's fine. But to me, I always thought you wanted a Harrison Ford-esque moment of Chewie, we're home with Downey. So I'm like, they're not gonna kill Downey off. They're gonna wait till he's like 60, even later 60s, 70s, and then bring him back. It's like, oh man, Downey, he's older, but he's back in the suit. You can still do that, right? With any sort of storyline, multiverse of madness, whatever it could be. So good or bad. So I think this does push it a little towards that happening in the future. I don't think it's in the immediate future. I don't think he's going to hit the eject button. I think he's going to sit back and go, okay, what should I do next? Talk to his team, see what the movie is. Because people forget he was almost in Gravity. He turned down, or they had some problems because he wouldn't follow the script. But if he was in that and it, let's say, played the same, he didn't ruin it or anything, would have been a big hit for him. Would have been an Oscar-nominated movie. I think Downey has of course, the gravitas and the acting skill to do that. I think it's just picking the right projects. Dolittle, not so much. The Judge, not so much. Soulless on paper, I think was good, but didn't really do much for him. So I do think he will be back. It's just a question of when, and that's why let me know, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's our Facebook, whether it is in the comments. Please let me know, when do you think that Iron Man will be played again by Robert Downey Jr.? And anyway, as far as this new scenes film, when do you think that could happen? Or do you not think it could happen at all? Let me know. The last topic today, this is going to be a quick one because they're going to talk about a bunch on Geek First. I just want to say that there's been these rumors going around of Taika directing Star Wars. I think it's great. I should take it back. I think it's outstanding. And the reason I say is because if you would have asked me pre-Jojo Rabbit, even with The Mandalorian, which a lot of people love, I really like it, but I think it has some problems. Even The Mandalorian, for that scene at the beginning of the Stormtroopers, worked for a lot of people. It worked for me for the most part, but overall I went a little too overboard, and the humor hurt to me, and I think it got a little too parody. That happens with Taika in all of his movies, and sometimes it always works, sometimes it doesn't. Thor Ragnarok, I love that movie. I think it's one of the most MCU rewatchable movies I have, if not it is the one, because it's just so enjoyable, and I have a great time. And those comedies, like, I don't love every single joke he does, but when he does, he hits harder than anyone else right now, I think, directing comedy-wise, for me. But for Thor Ragnarok, it sacrificed a lot of the story, and it was very rushed, and a lot of the emotional beats that I think you could really tackled to move along quick to get to the humor. Obviously, it's right before Infinity War, and obviously it was a new director, so I'm more confident in Thor Love and Thunder, which might have Christian Bale, which is crazy. But for me, I was always like, that's a great choice because he's a unique style, but I'd still go, there's going to be things I think I might not like about this. Jojo Rabbit, me and Liam are going to talk about when we do our Oscar prediction, so I'm not doing a big review here, but if you haven't heard me talk about, outstanding movie. It's either my third or fourth favorite movie of the year. Just watch Parasite. I got to rank that. Another great movie. But Jojo Rabbit is the evolution of Taika Waititi. Jojo Rabbit is, when you see that director, it kind of reminds me, there is The Dark Knight for Nolan, so I take that out, but it kind of reminds me of the first time I saw Inception, where it's like he learned everything he's ever done. Like, he got the mind-twisty thing, he got the story, he got the visuals, he got the big blockbuster feel from Dark Knight. Like, everything he had done, you can look at all his movies and say Inception to me was the crescendo of all that. And Jojo Rabbit, hopefully he does more like that, but Jojo Rabbit was that, where it was the perfect amount of that Taika flavor, that perfect amount of humor, the perfect amount of dryness and drama and darkness. It was just everything rolled in one, and it was perfect. So for me, I love the idea. I think it's an outstanding idea. Now I think that he is a right fit for it. Like I said, there might be something in that movie, like the Stormtrooper stuff, that I don't like, but that if it's one or two jokes, that's fine. It's kind of like a comedian, right? Not every joke hits for you. So I think after Jojo Rabbit, to me, he proved that he can be more than just always going for the joke, which I knew he could be, but in some of these bigger blockbusters, I kind of worried about that. Mandalorian, other than that first scene, I think was all great. Thor Ragnarok, like I said, had those problems, but after Jojo Rabbit, I really trust him, and I think there's some moments that are some of the most emotional, dramatic moments of 2019, but some even the decade. He did a great job, and there's so many people that were talking about, so I thought it was going to be really overrated, and it met every expectation and went past them. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm excited to hear the guys talk about more on GV, but yeah, it gets that Trasnell stamp of approval because I know that'll be a while, and I think there's a good chance it is that Feige. When the Feige one's producing, he said he had a star in mind that doesn't mean the star is, an actor, because Taika Waititi is a star. People are knowing his name. He's building that resume. He could soon be a kind of Nolan, a Scorsese. We'll get to that level. Who knows? But a name that when you see Waititi or Taika Waititi, and people go to see that movie for a Taika Waititi film, and not just because it has big stars or something really cool, right? Nolan was like that at the beginning, but now people go see it because it's Nolan. They have a certain level of quality, and I think he does that. And him directing stars, great. I hope Star Wars just kind of figures out all their stuff, and it's not a situation where he's there and then 6 months later there's a dropout. I want, hey, if you're gonna get him, figure all this shit out before. Star Wars had some bumps, and you don't want to lose someone as talented as him. So thank you very much for tuning in to this latest edition of Dynamic Duo. So everything down below, if you want our details as far as where to find us on social media, where to find us on the podcast feed, video feeds, it's all there. If you like what I did, please hit me up. I love conversating. I love talking, whether it's social media or the podcast. And if you could leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that would be great. We're trying to get to 200. We're close. We're almost at 160. So we got still a little ways to go, but we're getting closer and closer every day. So thank you very much. This was lots of fun. Like I said, who knows what's going to happen next week and things like that. But just look for it. Just look for it in that description, Travis, Dynamic Duo. And this is where I'll be. And I hopefully get back with the geeks, have some fun there. But if not, I will try and have as much fun with you and hopefully Liam and Kyle once I can rope those two back in and bring them back to the DD goodness. So thank you very much for tuning in. And when you hear from me next, I promise it won't be boring.